So does not Yuta just win if he opens a domain expansion on Sukuna if he has the strongest one? I mean, he's for sure going to use domain expansion, right? Gege teased it before and there's no better time to use it than the final showdown with Sukuna. Even if it does not do very much to Sukuna, it would still be dope as duck to see it. Plus, it does not make sense to show that he has won and then he just never uses it in the story. Gege would not do that, right? He would not just kill Yuta without showing his domain expansion, right? With the fight between Sukuna and Yuta coming up, Yuta got to pull out everything. Hopefully that means we'll see his domain expansion. But what do we think it does? Personally, I think it would have something to do with copying the opponent's ability and mimicking a domain around that. Or it could even just steal the opponent's curse technique and he would use cleave and dismantle on Sukuna, who would have no curse technique while he is in the domain. As we saw with Gojo vs Sukuna, you can win against a domain user without having a domain open. In their first clash, Gojo's domain collapsed, but he fought Sukuna off enough to leave Malevolent Shrine's range and then open his own domain again. Yuta's domain is probably the biggest key to winning, considering that he is the only person left who is confirmed to have a domain and is able to use it. That puts a massive target on his back. Sukuna is obviously way above Yuta in power and skill, so he can probably beat Yuta even inside Yuta's domain. Plus, I don't think Yuta's domain has a sure hit effect anyway. Yuta need to imbue his domain with a technique to get an one hit effect. But Yuta's curse technique is copy. His domain might not even attack you, or maybe it makes Sukuna fight a copy of himself. Who knows? We know his curse technique allows him to copy other curse techniques, so I believe his domain expansion will allow him to cut them. Let me explain. So you know how on your phone, when you highlight some words, you tapped it, it gives you an option to cut them. And when you do that, those words will not only be removed but also copied. So yeah, I theorize that when someone is trapped in Yuta's domain, their curse technique will not only be cut but also copied into Yuta, regardless of whether they can use it in front of him or not. To make him even more broken, Yuta can also add the curse technique he already copied into his domain's sure hit. Only chance of beating Yuta in his domain is if you have a simple domain or falling blossom emotion. I think Yuta loses the domain duel through lack of experience. He won't be able to tightly fine-tune his barrier like Gojo did and just get destroyed from the outside. Yuta is strong on his own, but he is only really broken because of Rika. I don't think his domain will be something that does damage. It will probably be something like Higuruma's or Hakari's that sets rules that opponent has to follow. Or maybe I think Yuta's domain will be like Gojo's, in that his domain does not actually use curse technique but has a whole another ability, like how Gojo's domain overfills his opponent with information instead of using blue or red. Yuta having a domain that copies his opponent's ability would low-key be too OP. I think the god Yuta will open his domain, but then Sukuna will unleash his Malevolent Shrine, quickly destroying Yuta's domain. I can see this happening. What do you think how Yuta's domain is going to be like? Let me know in comments. That's it for now. Until then, peace. Or maybe not.
誰だっけ